Hello, Commander.
Hello. Let's bring this down just a little bit. So, I thought we would go over the patch notes. I'm sorry I'm kind of quiet. It's really late. It's kind of late in my house, and I need to keep it down because they'll unleash the hounds on me. So, I thought we'd go over the new patch and just kind of. I've played now seven or eight games of the multiplayer, and I have to say overall I've had a lot of fun. I do have a nice little list of things that I thought we'd go over, but I thought we'd kind of just take a look at the patch notes itself before we really kind of jump into it. We will be going over the new units and a bunch of the actual like patch notes and numbers. So straight off the bat, some of the new features. We do have multiplayer. It is finally here, and some of the features, obviously, victory conditions remain the same as in the solo version. So, you know, basic stuff there. Trading now actually sends a part of your resources from one player to another in the solo version too, so there are some interesting team combinations you can try out. I actually had a situation with where I was low on food, and I had one of my teammates just basically send me food over, and they basically just benefit off of it. They get, I think, 5 or 6 gold, obviously, depending on how happy the relationship is between the two players. But I mean, overall, this is a really nice little bonus because it allows your team to basically kind of help each other out. So if I have 500 food and you have none, and you're only at like -1 food or something, I can send it over to you, get money for it, and help you out so that you can stay alive and not starve. Now, transfer territory between teammates. However, there's a pretty heavy cooldown on this feature, and the tiles must be adjacent to one another. Basically saying, if I have one tile and it's on the other side of my borders, and for some reason you really need this tile, I can give it to you for nothing. And there's apparently a very heavy cooldown, which I haven't seen a real big need for. I'm not too sure if I wasn't able to check this, but I think your healers. I don't know if it's your healers or your allies' healers are able to heal your allies' units on your tile as long as they're in your space. They're considered safe, I guess, and you can heal. I would definitely like to kind of take a look at that. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is how the healing works. In conjunction with your teammates, in terms of if I'm on my allies' tiles, am I still getting a healing bonus, or if my ally is on my tile, are they still getting their healing bonus, and to whose healers are taking care of that healing factor, as in if I'm on my allies' tiles, are his healers taking care of my units, or are my units still healing my units on his tile because it's in quote-unquote a safe area to heal. Because it would kind of make sense that if your units are on your allies and they have healers, they should be able to get healed. Fun little factoid for any of you guys that don't know, to the ability to ping, you want to hit the Alt button and then right click. That is actually how you ping. I had to look it up because I didn't know how. But you can ping your allies, which I've used. Thank God there isn't really a really loud like noise, like a loud ping or something. It's just kind of a little blip on the map, and then I think there's a very quiet noise that goes off, which is, it's fine. There's a whisper in the chat, so you can communicate directly in game if you're not hooked up to a Discord or something like that. I don't really know most of the people here, but yeah, I mean, there's that Discord, which I'll provide in the link below. Definitely, check out the community, but most of the time, kind of the rule of the game is if you want to win the match, communicate, basically, 3 randoms don't beat a team that is talking together. A team that talks together wins together. That's kind of the name of the game here. So the Axe Thrower, which is one of 2 new units, and we'll get into the Shield Bearer in a bit. Here is the ranged unit many of you have been waiting for. They're a little more fragile than your average Viking, but they can hit and run quickly and provide excellent support to any warband. So I actually got the opportunity to use these guys, and they're actually not as promising as they sound. From when I was playing with them, at least, their extra damage, they hit for the average 11 compared to the Vikings 10, and they have a resistance or a health of 35 compared to a Vikings 50. So basically what that's saying is for 1 extra health, you're losing about 20 HP on a unit that can run around and throw stuff and get countered already. So at least me personally, I think, especially for the health that the unit loses, there should really be a significant damage boost if I really want to trade it. I know, especially during the multiplayer, I did see quite a few people using them, but you know, I think I tried to go for like a half and half blend with my Vikings and axe throwers, and I pretty much got just stomped twice, both times actually, because I saw, I mean, basically 6 Vikings walked in against 3 Vikings and 3 axe throwers, and the 6 Vikings just kind of rolled on top of them just because they had more health. They had slightly less damage, but it really, you know, didn't matter, especially if I was going up against a wolf that already had sharp weapons and weaponsmith. I mean, it wasn't really worth the trade, if you will. Now, the second unit, the shield bearer, we couldn't have ranged units without a defensive counterpart, so we present these guys. The big burly shield bearer, heavy armor, and mountainous size allows him to take a beating, specifically minus 50% damage taken from projectiles. Again, this is kind of where I look at it and go, yeah, you could have axe bearers or axe throwers in your Viking axe thrower composition, or you could just have shield bearer Vikings and completely negate any damage that you would probably receive from the axe throwers, because it's not going to be really that much of a difference. A lot of times when I was playing, it was pretty much a pretty heavy Viking and axe thrower, or shield bearer, excuse me, combination, because it counters, and if you've got basically only like 1 minus damage compared to the extra health you have for the Viking, it's just mathematically it's better, you know. Both units are spawned from 2 new special abilities. The only catch is they are not quite finished, so we're... let me go ahead and do this since we're kind of going down it. Each building has an icon to show which unit is being produced and costs 10 extra crowns to build than the base training camp. And this is kind of where I kind of come back to the axe thrower and go, so if the base number is 20 and you're paying 30 for a unit that only does 1 extra damage and 20 less health, is it really worth 1 extra damage to pay 10 gold extra and to lose 20 health on 1 unit in an engagement which most of the units are melee heavy already? Not really. The shield bearer, let me run over the stats. I think the shield bearer, it does only 8 damage and it has 75 health. So basically, if you don't have a war chief or a berserker that can run with your group and you're kind of facing an opponent that does, get 2 or 3 shield bearers, and you know they're not going to be doing as much damage as the Vikings because they obviously, excuse me, they only hit for like 8 compared to the usual 10, and then the +2 if you're running a wolf clan. But still, 75 health is a lot of health. You know, compared to the Vikings 50, you get an extra what, 25 basically. I mean, 25 health for 2 damage. Again, you know, that's just like 1 HP for 20. That's a really good, you know, price, and for only 10 extra crowns, it's really good. Again, I honestly wouldn't run like a 1-to-1 ratio, but maybe a 1-to-2 for every 2 Vikings I have 1 shield bearer just to kind of back them up, and that in terms of the army composition, it feels and it works well enough. I haven't really seen any serious hindrances with that. Obviously with the axe thrower, you know, if someone goes pure axe throwers, you kind of just, but I digress. So a bunch of languages were added. Cool, that's always nice. Patch notes. So you will now start with 4 villagers instead of 3. Always good, because I actually, when I was playing for the first couple rounds, I always opened up with Scout Lodge and House, and then I added on the woodcutters later. I've noticed if you can start with the Scout Lodge, you go 2 scouts, and then you check your town hall, and as long as your your upcoming villager is only about halfway, you can get away with not really adding the house too early, and so you can kind of get, it's not a big number of extra food, but it's enough where it's kind of, it's that little bit. So Wolf Clan, instead of having sharp weapons default, now they get extra food when killing wolves and bears. This is one of the, I would say, the most significant addings besides multiplayer for the clans in general. From what I noticed, basically it allows the clans, the Wolf Clan specifically, to have this very aggressive tile grabbing posture, and at least in my opinion, the current standing for the strongest ranks are, you have the Wolf Clan, Raven, Stag, and then Goat. Well, to be honest, I really haven't had time to sit down and play a lot of Stag and Raven, so I mean those two could easily compete for number 2, but Goat for sure is definitely number 3, and we'll get back to that later. So the Stag Clan's supply fame title bonus now gives 150 resources instead of 200, so it's basically just a 50 fame debuff, which most of the time in multiplayer you're only going to be playing domination or domination with the one tile win, like the Tree of Life or Sword of Odin. So fame bonus really doesn't matter that much unless you're trying to rush for like a quick I don't know, a quick tech or something, who knows. Fame victory is now at 1200. We are currently looking at important changes at the fame system. Okay, so there's changes on the way, no big deal. Again, most people are usually playing domination victory in multiplayer anyway, so it's nice if you're maybe playing single player or you're playing with friends who want to try and go for all of the win conditions, who knows. But at least in terms of the the average player, it's not going to be that much of a change. Lore victory is a bit easier, less lore cost for advanced knowledges. Good, so now I can get my sharp weapons and legendary heroes quicker as the wolf, basically. That's probably the most significant change that you're going to see from this little change here, or from this little patch. It's not really going to be so much so that the other clans are going to, all the clans are going to benefit, obviously, but getting the sharper weapons or the more dangerous stuff for the wolf and for the stag and the raven are going to be a lot easier. So training camp and all the training camps now give +2 instead of 3, and then a +1 when upgraded. I would assume that means that's implying that they're keeping the health buff that they're getting, but realistically, at least from when I was playing, you really don't. At least when I was playing, I really never felt the need to really upgrade the training camp, just because I get the first training camp gives me 2 guys, and then I get the shield bearers training camp gives me 4 guys right there, and unless I'm going to try and kill an opponent, I usually just build another training camp anyways. That gives me 6 plus a war chief or a berserker. I mean, that's 6 guys, probably 2 shield bearers and 4 Vikings plus a berserker war chief plus all the the damage upgrades you get. It's pretty much it's not really, it's not that significant, at least in terms of the upgrade. I feel like the training camp upgrade is going to be kind of more pushed to the side here now because of, I mean, 2 is that like kind of awkward perfect number where it's like, if you had 3, you'd get 6 units off of 2 training camps immediately, which is, that's pretty strong, but you're going to want shield bearers anyways, so, okay, I'm going to build the shield bearers, and now I have 4 guys, and it's not that big of a deal. So the number of scouts is now limited to the number of scout camps. Okay, it's, unless you're going for like a serious Raven Journeyman happiness run, really not that big of a deal. I mean, I usually have like 1 scout running around on the map anyways, so not that big of a deal. Defeating another player now gives you 120 fame and plus 150 for giants. This is actually a really nice buff. I don't really recall if they ever had getting bonus fame from defeating an opponent, but this is really nice. Now, obviously, this would be really crucial though if you're talking more of the mid to early game. But a lot of times, most of the players were typically dying later, later in the patches or later in the game where you had 2 or 3 guys just bum rushing, the one guy in the corner, and then you kill him off quickly with like 15 or 16 Vikings. So I could see this being a big buff if you have like all 3 of your guys diving in on one of your opponents, or all 3 of all three members of one team diving in on one of the other team members, or the opposite team, you know what I mean, and getting that significant bonus. But in terms of mid to late game, I don't really see this being a huge deal. So buildings have been reordered according to gameplay usage. You know, it's cosmetic. They do have all of the military in a separate tile, and all the advanced in a separate tile, and then everything else. The icons do feel a little bit cluttered right now. I don't know if it's maybe just me, but it does feel like the icon section might maybe just expanded a little bit so that the icons are, I don't want to say easier to click, but you kind of know what you're looking at, because when you're busy like dealing with Draugrs, or that one dude that's rushing 16 healers or something like I used to do, and you're trying to look over and trying to click on that tower really quickly, you'll go over and you might accidentally click the one building right above it, or something close to it, and it can be a little bit, it just feels a little cluttered right now. Sailors now produce 1.5 lore instead of 1. This is actually kind of a big deal. I've noticed that a lot of Raven Clan members tend to build their harbors a lot more often now that now that a lot of people are trying to go for backdoor stuff. I definitely see this being a pretty big deal, especially for, again, a lot of the blended compositions, as in especially in the teams when you have 2v2, 3v3, 2v2v2, Wolf Raven, Wolf Stag. Those combinations, having the raiders in the back can actually cause quite a bit of damage. So colonizing Wolf Camp gives 30 fame, 50 for Draugr Camp. I mean, it's one of those. It's the little things, but it's nice. I mean, I could see everyone besides the Wolf really benefiting from this, because I know, at least as a Wolf player myself, I don't try to immediately kill off the Wolf Den or the Draugr Tomb, because I want to try and farm the money and the gold and the food that you get from clearing these guys out. Cost for teaming with giants has been reduced a lot. Good. You usually, even with like 1 or 2 trading camps going at the same time, you typically hit late game by the time you actually get Blaine. Raven Harbor exploration costs are now always 10 crowns. Good. This is going to make playing, again, Ravens a lot more, Raven players at least a lot more dangerous, and again, in those team settings, having a Raven player is now going to be a lot more viable, which is perfect. Colonizing the Gates of Helheim now only costs 100 food. If you ever survive long enough to actually colonize it and hold it for a year, you deserve to win. That's kind of my take on it right now. Civilians and wolves are a bit stronger now. If they're both stronger, then I guess it really doesn't matter, because they kind of cancel each other out. Typically, wolves are the things. I've seen a few Draugrs attack, but at least in terms of the multiplayer setting, I've seen a lot more wolves than Draugrs try to attack, so I mean, they kind of balance each other out. Healers are more efficient on sick units. Good. Typically, if you're going through a massive sickness thing, then you've probably got other things to worry about than your sickness. I mean, if you've got 5 or 6 guys sick, you've probably got other things to worry about, but that's fine. All fight damage has been slightly reduced, allowing for more time to micro. Now, I think I actually I wrote this down somewhere. There's hang on, let me get this oop, hang on. Oh, come on. Where's oh, there's the webcam. Okay, here we go. Hey, how you doing? Hang on. I wrote this down on a piece of paper, because I was really perplexed by this, but oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so here on this chart, I think I found the thing that was I was trying to that seems kind of, I don't know, that seems kind of silly, at least in my opinion. All fight damage has been slightly reduced, so you're making the battles more drawn out and allowing more time for micro. If you couldn't micro in the first place, then, I mean, if your unit dies, there's only one person to blame, and that's you. You lost it, it's your mistake, The only way you can really improve is by learning from your mistakes and saying, okay, I messed up, I lost that shield bearer because the 15 axe throwers that were just basically throwing 5 million axes at it to try and kill the silly sucker finally got to it because I didn't, move it out of the way quick enough. reducing the damage so that you have more time to realize that your units are dying doesn't really change much. I mean, I can understand if you increase the damage and then decide to pull back on it. Sure, okay, you know, that makes sense. But I'm really curious as to what this means by all fight damage, because if that means all units in general, or does that mean the Wolf Clan was casually nerfed quietly so it didn't, you know, you didn't really see it, you know? That feels kind of unnecessary, if you will. I feel like you don't need to reduce the damage. If someone dies, or if a unit dies because you couldn't micro it, that's on you. You know, this isn't League of Legends where you can try and pretend to blame your allies for your own mistakes. This is your mistake, you know. I've lost plenty of units because of my own mismanagement and my own micro, because, you know, after 150 hours, I'm still bad at the game. But I know that I'm bad at the game, and I accept that. I lose units to stupid decisions, you know. Now, to be fair, to nitpick at... Actually, here, let's go ahead and hop over to the paper, because I know that a lot of this was actually covered in the patch notes. You know, a lot of the things that you die to are your fault. And that's really it. Alright, so here, let me go ahead and switch over to the webcam now, since we've kind of gone over all the patch notes and everything. So, overall, though, I want to just go ahead and say, since I'm going to probably edit and splice this whole thing together because it's a mess right now, the new patch does feel a lot smoother. It might just be because I have a lot more things to look at. It might just be because I have allies to talk and communicate with instead of having to just watch like 15 wolves attack my food tile. But it feels like there's more things to do. It feels like the food gathering, the tile management, the unit management, it feels a lot smoother, which is very, very good. Overall, like I said, good patch. We already talked on the shield bearers, we already talked on the axe throwers. Neutral tiles. I don't know if it's maybe because of how the host is setting the difficulty, but it feels like the leash has actually been pulled back on the neutral tiles, at least in terms of aggression and kind of, you know, RNG attacking. It doesn't feel like it feels like PvP. It doesn't feel like PvPvE or PV or P plus P subtracted by E. They're neutral tiles. Occasionally they'll attack you, but you have a better chance of actually expanding towards the Draugr tomb and not feeling like, I wonder how many Draugrs are going to attack me this winter, you know. Natural disasters. I have to say, I didn't really feel like they were tough, but they weren't punishing. They weren't, you know, when you get a blizzard, it sets you back to 0. It didn't feel like that at all, at least in this new patch. It feels like, okay, I have rats, I've got food silos. I have I have a fire, earthquakes coming, I've got the wood for it, you know. The blizzard does still feel like it's the most difficult, but if you're aware of it and you start kind of preparing in advance, you never feel like, oh my god, I'm gonna die to this blizzard. Oh good, here comes another one. You know, I never had back-to-back disaster events, which was so good. I mean, especially in single player. I mean, you'll get one or two at least, or you'll get at least one a year. That was typically my rule of thumb, at least in single player, was you will either have earthquakes, you will either have blizzards, and maybe if they're feeling nice, you'll get rats once in a while. Now, to nitpick, at least on the multiplayer, just so that I said I can, and that one guy on the internet can go, oh, he's just being a jerk again. Obviously, after a month and a half, I would say that there is some pretty significant lag that I was kind of upset about. At least in terms of the multiplayer. I know there was actually, in here I'll make sure I added in a clip where basically I had this giant, I had this army trying to push into a guy's base, lag hit, my units bum rushed his units bum rushed me, and just because of the lag I couldn't react, you know, and I did end up losing that game at that point, which was upsetting, but, you know, again, to you know, back up Shiro Games in my own call out, you know, the multiplayer's been out for a whopping 24 hours. It's okay, you know, it's cool. It's also still an alpha. It's okay, it's cool. But I would say that they did spend quite a bit of time on it, so I wasn't expecting the lag to be that bad. So that was kind of concerning. but I mean, Shiro Games is pretty good about that stuff. So one of the things that I would like to see in multiplayer get added though is pings, the player ping, so I can know you know, what is my ping compared to everyone else's ping. So you know, if there's some serious lag, is it on my end, is it my opponent's end, is it the host's end, am I joining a European server? I don't really know. And then when in the the lobby list, where it has the name, the setting, the type, and then I would like to have like a region or something, so where it tells me, you know, North American East Coast, or Central EU, or you know, Eastern European, you know, or Asian American, or Asian servers, you know, kind of gives me an understanding of what servers I'm joining, just so I can kind of know what to expect. Because obviously, if I join a game and, you know, I'm trying to fight a guy that's across the world who has better ping than me, and I try and send my units in, I can't micro them because, you know, the ping's just too rough, and and then the you know, then I have more time to micro, but that's pretty rough. Let's see. So yeah, ping and server location would be really nice. And then for replay specifically, I would really like to know, at least on the map itself, where the food tiles are. That sounds kind of weird to know, but at least for me personally, I like to know when my opponent is, you know, at what time is my opponent getting their first fish tile or getting their first deer tile, because what that allows me to do is, okay, I lost the game, I want to learn, you know, I made a mistake, let me see from what the other team or my opponent was doing what I did wrong, you know, so I can learn from it. Another thing that I would really like to see in the multiplayer would be when you die or you concede is, well, actually there's two things. One of them being when you concede defeat and you want to continue spectating. So for example, let's say for whatever reason I want, like, perfect example actually, casting games. This is actually a perfect example. It's in the current game there's no spectator mode, but at least I obviously this is how we would kind of work the system, if you will. You join a game, you concede, so the other two players can, you know, play their game out, and then you go into keep watching. You can't actually see what other players have seen until you survey that land, and obviously if you're dead you can't really survey that land. And then the last one was, and I am gonna just go ahead and honestly say I'm kind of stealing this from StarCraft. When a player leaves a game in like a 3v3 or a 4v4, especially in Northgard, you know, that is a lot of food, that is a lot of tiles, that is a lot of space that, you know, the last two players on that team could really use. I think in basically all of my matches that I played today in multiplayer, at least one guy left. You know, for whatever reason. I'm not going to say it's because of ping, or they crashed, or, you know, they had to go out and, you know, grab a cold one or something. You know, they conceded the game, they left. I would really like it if, when a player leaves, you know, the tiles get split between the other two players. So if I'm, you know, closest, so like here's a player in the middle, here's me, and here's my other ally, you know, when it divvies it goes straight down the middle, so it just kind of blobs, you know. That way, me as the player, you know, me as one of the players that now has to shoulder the burden of surviving a 2v3, who, you know, now has to help work with this other guy and try and, you know, figure out some way of beating three other players. You know, it gives me an opportunity. And at least in terms of multiplayer itself, another thing that I would really like to see, as I keep saying that, would be the ability to enable or disable team feasting or personal feasting. Basically what I mean by that is there was quite a few times where I would be playing with a team of 3. Excuse me, sorry about that. And like the second spring or something, you know, 802, all 3 feasts would go off on, you know, in 1 year. And at least for me personally, I don't like doing that. I personally like to use my feasts a little bit more conservatively, so I might use one in 802, but I might use one in 803, wait till through 804, and then use my third feast, which only costs me at 330, in 805. That way, when I have this really large economy, I can drop this really cheap feast, and suddenly I'm getting this really big boost, you know? And, you know, maybe the other person wants to drop all 3 feasts in, you know, in 802, but that's obviously conflicting personalities, and I would just kind of like to have that option, at least from when I'm hosting my own games or something. I can choose to allow that option or disable that option. It's just kind of, you know, one of those small things. Let me go through my handy-dandy notebook here just to see. Yeah, other than that, I guess... here for the for the thumbnail, because you know there's gonna be that one guy going, this guy again, here we go, guys. I don't even know why people get so upset about it. You take it with a grain of salt, you know. Oh well. Oh, and for any of you guys that are watching this video and haven't already disliked and reported it for uneducational purposes, I believe there is a sale discount. Yeah, here we go. From midnight tonight Central Eastern Time, the game will be on sale for 15% off. Just a warning, that's not right now, so if you haven't gotten the game yet, make sure you see the discount when you head to the checkout. So, if any of you get... Oh, yeah, well, I mean, here, let me... Boop. Boop. Hey, there we go. So yeah, any of you guys looking to maybe play with your friends, the game is on discount. And let's go ahead and... Oop, hey, look, there's me doing editing stuff. On Steam. Go away, please. It is currently a whopping 20 bucks. And I wouldn't say that the multiplayer itself is worth $20, at least currently. I would say definitely, though, the game, once they patch multiplayer, once they patch multiplayer, it would very easily be worth $25 to $30 for the quality of the game, the depth, and the ability to do multiplayer. It would very easily jump about an extra $10 once they patch out multiplayer. And again, to be completely honest, and to kind of cover Shiro Games here, the multiplayer's only been out for a day, and if all they have to take care of is a little bit of lag and latency, and that's really it. I mean, the meta is pretty good right now. They're in a good shape. They're in a really good shape for this game to be quite successful. So I definitely recommend, if you guys have a little bit of extra cash and maybe you want to just get you and your buddies to have some fun with a pretty solid RTS game, this is the game for you. This is definitely, I wouldn't call it the next StarCraft in terms of speed or micro demand, and I definitely wouldn't call it the next Stellaris, but I would definitely call this the next Northgard. It's a very good game, and I would say that it just needs a little bit more time, you know. as the game likes to say, and as multiplayer still is, it's still an alpha, and it just needs a little bit more time, and I would definitely say it's got a good future. So with that, I hope you guys have a good day, good afternoon, good night. I'll see all you guys later, and I hope you guys have a good day. So let's see, let's think of some stupid catchphrase thing that everyone can use. Clash on, North Guardians. God, that's so cringy. Ying King Durgan. Until I see you later, sons and daughters of Odin, may your travels across the waters always be safe, and may your axes and swords and shields never dull. That's pretty good, right? I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Go! Oh, we're lagging hard again. Okay. Oh no!
You are dead! Not a big surprise!